Delighted to say that Ben Gregory is on the line here on Amazing Afternoons. Ben, I had a couple of days off last week and I was able to really listen to your solo record, your debut solo record. And I have to say, it's an
Mm.
absolute triumph. And I don't know if you feel the same, Ben, but as you get older, you have got to dig a bit deeper to get excited about music. And I really hear in this record,
Yeah.
you've really pushed the boundaries of what you can achieve. How do you feel about it when you listen back to it?
Um, First of all, I agree with you completely that you start to see where all the influence are coming from with other artists, and it's a bit like, oh wow, everything becomes a sort of strange musical pie instead of the like original pioneering things you might have perceived it as when you were younger. And it is a little bit harder to get super engaged with stuff maybe, but I guess on this record, I just sort of tried to wear my influences on my sleeve. Is that the phrase? A little bit, and just sort of chuck everything in that I really like listening to. Um, that maybe sort of I haven't referenced so much before. So it was a fun time to, yeah, diversify a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess that comes with the freedom of being a solo artist as well. You get to have this kind of bold, expressive sound, and you've got everything you on there. You've got some tender moments. You've got some really expansive, you know, layered tracks where you've got there was a track called Blue Sea Blue, which is an epic
Mm,
track. It's got everything on
yeah,
there,
well,
you
the
know. I
video
mean,
for that's coming out today.
how
That song comes out today, so
oh really?
check it out. Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, how do you even start to how do you start to build a track like that? Do you literally start it off as a small kind of structure as you would have done in Blind Abbott, you know, and then
Yeah,
thought, let's just actually throw the kitchen sink at this?
it's a really weird one that because I just got carried away, I guess, in the most delightful way. I remember playing the first sort of bass line and then recording that. And then I assumed it would be a sort of 2 minute thing. And then I was just having a lot of fun making music, which I go through big sort of ups and downs of enjoying it a lot and not. And I guess on that day, I was just having a really great time making something that I knew was a bit crazy and out there, but it just kept going and it just kept getting longer and longer. Um, and but I think it reached all the places that I wanted it to reach. And then we did chop like 30 seconds off at the end.
Well, it's still
um,
pretty long on the version I heard, but it's yeah, it's absolutely wonderful, and it really ticks a lot of boxes for me.
Thank
And
you.
I guess it's has to you've got to have a good relationship with the producers and engineers when you're making a record like this because
Mm,
it sounds like it's a lot for anyone to take on by themselves. And I understand you got a good relationship with Blaine Harrison from Mystery Jets, and
hmm.
he helped on this record, didn't he?
Yeah, he produced that with me, and yeah, I remember making that song "Blue Sea Blue" especially, and he called it a super song, which is his own sort of genre that I don't know if he's invented or taken from somewhere, but I thought that was quite a nice way of putting it. Just things that go through all those phases. But Blaine and then Matt, who engineered it with us, yeah, they were just the nicest, most inspiring guys to go see in the studio every morning, and it's kind of an amazing delight to be that pumped to go to work, which, yeah. So I loved working with them and they let me see out all my sort of sometimes most foolish ideas to the very end and then maybe taper it back a little bit while still, um, providing me with a lot of like guidance and help. So yeah, I had a
Yeah.
really lovely time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what comes across, Ben, is that they're getting as much kicks out of this record of making it as you were, because I guess for like an engineer like Matt, if you got an idea in your head, he's really good at trying to, spin an amp around or put a certain pedal on to get that certain sound you want to achieve. But you can really hear that
Yeah.
the producer Blaine's having a really good time as well, just really pushing the barriers with this record.
Yeah, I think yeah, we all had our own bits to say across the album that we were allowed those moments. I remember sometimes when I'd had my sort of crises. I don't want to say daily, but there were often times where I'm like, "Oh my God, what am I doing? Is this going to be a hideous disaster?" And then your sort of studio day clock, you see it going down. It's like, oh man. I need to like do something to make some kind of drastic change, and then I'll leave Blaine or Matt alone for a while, and I'll go for a walk, and I'll come back, and they've sort of done something awesome. Um, that sort of gets me back in the spirit, because that is one thing about making a record as a solo artist. You can't sort of drift off, like go watch a sort of documentary for a bit or something while someone else does something awesome from the band, which used to be how it is. And but now luckily I had Blaine and Matt sort of pulling those surprises out when I went on a crisis walk.
So it's wonderful. And do you think it's a good representation of the period of life which you've just gone through and where you are right now? Because it kind of it's chaotic or massively chaotic in places. And you've had documented issues, haven't you, in recent years? But it signs off with that track "God Bless You," which I guess is the most kind of regular sounding track on the album, which and it kind of
Yeah,
resolves on that track, and it signs off saying "I'm all right," kind of thing.
that's really nice that you noticed it like that, perceived it like that, and made that point, because I think that's exactly what we're going for. Yeah, because it could have ended with Smoke, which is the song before it, and it would have been quite a somber. It's more like traditional closer, I guess. It would have been quite a somber, tragic way to bow out. And then we didn't know what else to do with the song "God Bless You" because we all really liked it, and then we decided that it could be a sort of hands in the air end credits moment. Like, I don't know, the album is its own sort of cycle, and luckily it, well, doesn't make sense with the cycle, but then but it ends somewhere positive. It was really important to me to end on something sort of nicer note, even though the last thing is me screaming the word dirt. It's a more positive note than it could have been. So yeah, that did work. Yeah,
It has
thanks
worked,
for
and
spotting
it,
that.
it certainly landed with me. But how has your music landed with the Blind Avon fans? Because they were quite fanatical about you guys, weren't they? They were very loyal uh,
Yeah.
and loved you. What's been the reaction to your music?
Um, it's weird, and I guess it's something I observed whilst being in the band as well. People, you put out your first record, and all your fans are like 17, and then you put out your next one, and they're 19, 20. And now I'm sort of still putting out records, and they're all a bit older. And I hope that the music I'm making still engages with them and the different places they are in their lives. But I've had some really nice. I don't know. It's hard to judge response when you're not sort of on tour and people are saying things to your face, because I don't spend so much time reading comments. Not that there are that many comments anyway, but I don't know how to answer that question. I don't really know what people think of it. But they're definitely, it's when my friends that I haven't seen for a while get in touch and say, oh, I had my friend of mine called Linus just messaged me, and I hadn't heard from him in ages, just like, oh, thanks for releasing Deathbed Hangover, I really really love it. And that, yeah, I found that quite moving, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I guess, if people around you and the peers and people you look up to and they all are kind of digging what you're doing, that's good. That's a box ticked, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, it was just a nice, I guess if you're in the public eye in any little way, like making music, it's a nice like cycle of your life. When it comes back around that you put something out, it's a sort of excuse to get back in touch with people. And I've definitely done that. And for example, working with Blaine, like I hadn't seen Blaine for a little while, and when we were sort of talking about how we were going to produce the record, um, I was just delighted to have him back in my life, to be honest, because he's just a really awesome, lovely man.
Oh, that's so nice. What's the plan then with the record? Will you be going out and doing some gigs?
Yeah, I don't know when it's announced. It should be, excuse me, very soon. But I'm doing a little install tour,
Okay.
which I'm sure I'm allowed to tell you.
Yeah.
Um, which will be at the start of April. And I'm very much looking forward to that, and just phasing back into performing live quite slowly, because yeah, it's a stressful endeavor. Every day is a countdown to the minute I have to go on stage, and sort of total terror. So I need to get back in the swing of it a little bit, but it's gonna be nice playing record shops and just people who are really into it, and friends and family coming. And
Yeah.
then there'll be some like other proper dates later on in the year. But yeah, yeah.
It's
I'm
exciting.
squeezing everything I'm doing into my. I'm on the semester break between two semesters at university,
Mhm.
so I have to like suddenly cram everything I could possibly do for the album in terms of making videos and promoting it into the end of February and March. So yeah, little shows at the start of April as well. I'm free, and then back to uni.
Yeah. What are you studying at uni?
So I'm doing a German and English literature degree, and right now I am in Berlin at the Humboldt University doing some linguistics and some like, language history and Kafka. Quite a
Nice.
bit of that. Yeah,
Nice.
a lot of
Uh,
fun.
yeah, that sounds good. How did you find that works with your music alongside? Does it help you focus and kind of keep a separate mind, if you like, for you could put your music hat on, then put your university hat on?
You're completely right. Apart from sometimes one of the hats gets sort of like dusty in the corner of the wardrobe for a really long time.
Yeah.
When I'm like exam period and I just haven't thought about making music for such a long time, and I pick up a guitar afterwards, and I'm like, oh, this is the thing that I really like doing. Um, but no, it's really helped me have a balance and structure to my life of, I guess, after being on tour for so long and sort of being ill for a while, as you made reference to, learning to like concentrate again and to like dedicate myself to something that isn't just music. And yeah, switching between the two rather than getting in the way just makes me appreciate both of them a lot more actually. So I really am having a good time at uni, and um, yeah, I had forgotten how much I missed putting music out because I never stopped making music, but stopped putting it out for a while, and it's so exciting. Like the new video is coming out today, and it's so exciting because we worked so hard on it, and it looks so sick. So yeah,
Oh, that it's wonderful. I bet it really feels like you're in a good place right now. And this, honestly, this record, I think will be enjoyed by a lot of people, and maybe people who have never enjoyed Blind Alvin either. I think will pick it up and think, who's Ben Gregory? I think because you'll come from a different angle there, and I think people will
yeah,
discover your music through that.
yeah. That was the thing. I was hoping that people that really liked the band would still find things that they can enjoy in this music, and I don't think it's so the songwriting. It's still the same songwriter. I don't think it's so far away in that regard, but it's nice to have a fresh start and not come with any assumptions about what a band should sound like or about what previous records have sounded like. And then it's convenient that I have the blandest name of all time, so you can't really work out what it's going to be like from the name. um, yeah, so yeah,
Well, it's excellent, and we can't wait for it to come out in April, Ben. And we're looking forward to catching up with this new video and the singles, which will come out in and around it as well. Ben, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us
thanks,
this
mate.
afternoon. I really appreciate it, and all the
Thanks for
best for
having me.
everything.
Cheers.